The waiting is over. Football is back. Better than 71,000 as Tyrod Taylor makes his return to his old home city. Joe Flacco ready to make his return from that devastating knee injury that ended his season back in Week 11. Today's game being broadcast in Spanish. We're available using the SAP button on your television. There is Rex Ryan, year 2. After leading the Bills to an 8-8 record a season ago, they missed the playoffs for a 16th straight season. And Devin Hester lining up back deep to return. Signed just over a week ago, arguably the greatest return man in league history. And Solomon, here we go.
Oh, Devin Hester is capable of doing great things. We've seen him return the opening kickoff in the Super Bowl, so certainly it's nothing new for him.
Here's Jordan Gay, who was activated off their practice squad to fill the spot vacated by Seantrell Henderson, who was suspended earlier this week. Their kickoff specialist, the Bills, the only team to have one on their roster on opening day. And here is Hester going to play it. And excellent coverage down the field by the Bills. 14 yards on the return. It was Jonathan Meeks leading the charge for the Bills. And here comes Joe Flacco as the Ravens will have it. Flacco was really on pace for a career season, at least statistically, Solomon, before the knee injury last year.
Yeah, he said he wants to get off to a fast start here today and try to gain the early momentum in this game and see if he can establish this team's identity early in 2016.
Threw for nearly 2,800 yards, 64% completion percentage. They say that he had his best training camp ever. And really a newfound appreciation after it was all taken away from him at the end of last year. This is Justin Forsett. Nice run to get the party started. As he is forced out of bounds right around the 20. A pickup of 7. Duke Williams pushed him out of bounds. 2 rookie starters on the left side of the line. Ronnie Stanley, the young man they took 6th overall out of Notre Dame, makes his NFL debut against a Rex Ryan defense. How about that? Steve Smith trying to make his return from a torn Achilles at the age of 37. As all eyes on him as we get going. 2nd and 3. Flacco goes underneath. This is Forsett. Able to fight his way to the 25. Tackled by Jerry Hughes as the Ravens move the chains. Defensive starters, this much maligned unit that went from 4th in 2014 to 19. Corbin Bryant starting. Marcel Dareus suspended for a 2nd straight opening day. Lorenzo Alexander, NFL journeyman. First NFL start since 2012 as a defender. And Corey Graham won a Super Bowl title as a rookie here as a member of the Baltimore Ravens in 2012. Here is Forsett, already the workhorse, inching his way to the 25. And a kind of an eventful week for Forsett. Solomon, they cut him surprisingly, but it was kind of a calculated move as they try to look ahead and make some improvements to the roster. And Forsett was back 2 days later.
Yeah, 9-year veteran Justin Forsett. Didn't expect to be picked up by another team. They didn't want to risk exposing one of the younger running backs.
Forsett gets a blow, and on 2nd and 10, short pass to Kyle Juszczyk. Pro Bowler a couple of years ago, led all NFL fullbacks last season in catches and yards, tackled by Ronald Darby, a pickup of 9.
Clearly a fan favorite. You can see fullback out in the flat right away. They're trying to take advantage of the aggressive nature of Rex Ryan's defense, looking to get hits on Joe Flacco, and then you get Juszczyk out in the flat where he has room to operate.
41 catches a year ago for Juszczyk, the former 4th-round pick out of Harvard. So a good opening drive for Flacco. Former Super Bowl MVP back in 2012. On 3rd and 1, little pitch play. Excellent cutback maneuver by the Baltimore kid, Terrence West. That initial juke needed the 35 for the first down. We'll see where the officials mark it. And they say it will be 4th down. He's short.
Yeah, he's going to be short. Hughes gets there, gets the penetration. But look at the quickness of Terrence West. But then he's going to be tackled before he can hit the 1st down marker. Terrence West lost weight during the offseason, came in great shape, ready to contend. And look,
Solomon, you like this move?
Yeah, I do like it. He's got great field position. And they are very aggressive. I wouldn't be surprised if they go with a hard count. Yeah, they're not going to snap the ball. They're trying to use the hard count to draw the defense off sides. Didn't work there.
So Rex's defense stays disciplined.
Delay game.
They'll take the delay of game penalty, and the punting team will come on the field.
I like that. You know, they're trying to take advantage. No one knows Rex Ryan as well as Coach John Harbaugh. These two coached together back at the University of Cincinnati. Of course, Ryan worked for one season here in Baltimore under John Harbaugh, and so they know one another very well. They tend to know the nature and tendencies of one another as well.
So much respect and admiration between those two men. Had a chance to visit with both the last couple of days. And Sam Cook, first career Pro Bowl selection last season on to boot it away. And the 34-year-old punter able to sail it out of bounds right around the 32-yard line. 40 yards on the punt. The Soaring Eagle on opening day in Baltimore. First offensive possession for the Buffalo Bills. After the Ravens drive stalls, they start at their own 32-yard line. Tyrod Taylor from the gun. Throws progressions underneath, and LeSean McCoy is whacked. Zachary Orr laying a stick. So Tyrod Taylor, we mentioned 4 years as Flacco's backup. Gets his chance finally a year ago and turns in a Pro Bowl season.
And what did he tell us? Hey, he wants to build in 2016 by getting the ball out faster, attacking the defense, keeping them back on their heels. I thought that ball came out rather slow, came out rather late, and LeSean McCoy paid for it.
Charles Clay, the man in motion on 2nd and 8. This is McCoy trying to dance around the tackler, and he's going backwards.
This certainly isn't what their offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, wanted. Obviously, they want to be able to run downhill. LeSean McCoy has always had a tendency to want to bounce it and get outside of the defense. Now, the Baltimore Ravens, they understand the tendencies of the players they're playing against. So knowing that McCoy wanted to bounce it, they were able to read and react appropriately to come up with the tackle for a loss.
Taylor on 3rd and 14. Mike Gillislee dumped for another loss. Sharice Wright getting there for the Ravens.
How about Sharice Wright? He understands what he's getting from this offense. He can read it. He'll be out here, but watch him come up. Is able to make the tackles, able to beat the blocker, that is the guard, Richie Incognito. If you get there before he does, makes for an easy tackle.
Colton Schmidt, 3rd-year punter. After a disastrous opening possession for the Bills. And this is Hester dancing up the far side, close to the 35. So 50 yards on the punt from Schmidt, 7 on the return. Early going, a ferocious start for the Ravens defense.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. We remember. AT&T, mobilizing your world. And by the new 2017 Acura MDX, precision-crafted performance.
A look at Fort McHenry in Baltimore Harbor, site of the Battle of Baltimore, which took place back in 1814. What a beautiful day for opening kickoff weekend in the NFL here in 2016. Second possession for Joe Flacco and the Ravens. From the gun on 1st and 10, delivers, and Steve Smith with his first catch. So many unknowns about this offense, but they think, Solomon, this wide receiving core will be much improved.
And it starts with Steve Smith Sr. He's the veteran of the bunch, 16 seasons, but Rashad Perriman, last year's first-round pick, did not play a single down for these Baltimore Ravens, and his talents were needed. Mike Wallace comes over in free agency. They believe they have the speed to push down the field vertically and make plays.
On 2nd and 7, Flacco, quick strike again, looking right at Steve Smith. We had a chance to visit with Smith as he makes his second catch, and he's going right at it, jawing with Ronald Darby, who had a terrific rookie season last year.
And this is what they missed when he was injured last year. Someone to really be the outlet for Joe Flacco and to be a little bit feisty. He gives this team an excellent identity. You know he's never going to back down from the opponent, and that's been the culture here in Baltimore.
What did he say? The bully is back?
The bully is back.
Some movement pre-snap.
False start. Offense, number 79. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
And that's Ronnie Stanley, the 6th overall pick. Talk about a tough way to make your NFL debut, as you see his head coach, but to having to do it against a Rex Ryan coach defense.
Yeah, Coach Harbaugh knows he's got to live with it. There's going to be some growing pains when you're starting 2 rookies on the left side of that offensive line. Alex Lewis at left guard and Ronnie Stanley at left tackle.
First time an NFL team has started 2 rookies on the left side of their offensive line on opening day since 1995. Incredible. More penalty flags.
False start. Offense, number 89. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
That's Steve Smith.
Now, you know that tells you that it's a pass play because the receivers don't jump into that neutral zone eager to come off the line of scrimmage when they're running the football.
Now, we visited with Steve yesterday. He seemed kind of laid back, and then right when we asked him about that Buffalo defensive backfield, he immediately shot back into game mode. And it was the old Steve Smith. He was chomping at the bit to get on the field today. On 3rd and 11, Flacco over the middle and completes. That's Mike Wallace, one of the newest members to that improved wide receiving core. 15 yards and a first down.
I think the wide receiving core, as you mentioned, Spiro, is much improved. Wallace is a guy that can get vertical, but someone has to be able to make plays in between the hash marks or in between the numbers and make plays. Now, the rookie left side of that offensive line, Ronnie Stanley, Lewis, look at him. I talked to Juan Castillo, the offensive line coach. He said these guys are going to put up a fight for 4 quarters.
So after a couple of penalties, they move the chains. Flacco wrapped up on his way down. Buffalo calling for the penalty. Leger Douzable, the 7th-year defensive end, able to wrap him up. And the first incompletion officially thrown by Flacco.
Yeah, they get pressure coming off the left side. It's Hughes. They force him to step up. And then Douzable is able to get to the legs of Flacco, able to haul him in.
First season for Douzable in a Buffalo uniform, as the Bills dress only 5 healthy defensive linemen for this Week 1 game. Oh, Flacco wasn't expecting the snap. The football is live. It's loose. And it is Buffalo football. A colossal mistake as Preston Brown falls on the football for the Bills, and Buffalo gets it back.
You have a veteran center, 9-year vet Jeremy Zutaw, and a 9-year veteran quarterback in Joe Flacco, but yet still the miscommunication between the center. And look, Joe Flacco's not expecting that ball. It was on a silent count, but you're the home team. You don't expect the crowd noise to interfere with the communication between the center and the quarterback. We said it at the top, Spiro. In these first games of the regular season, everyone is still trying to figure out just who they are as a football team.
So 2 penalties and a botched snap on that possession alone. Keep in mind, Flacco played only 1 preseason game coming back from that long knee rehabilitation. This is LaShawn McCoy as Taylor goes underneath. And finally, some positive yardage for the Bills. They pick up 5. Well, how about the offensive starters? All 5 starters on the offensive line return for the Bills. They're headlined by Richie Incognito, resurrected his career with a Pro Bowl season last year. And Sammy Watkins did not play in the preseason, had surgery to repair that stress fracture in his left foot in April, as he makes his return today. Here he is lined up bottom of your picture on 2nd and 5. Handoff taken by McCoy, and right now that front is holding steady. Timmy Jernigan on the tackle. This Ravens defense, a much maligned unit last year. Worst statistical season since they came back to Baltimore in '96. You saw Brandon Williams, Terrell Suggs returning from that 2nd torn Achilles that he's sustained in the last 4 years, and Lardarius Webb transitioning from cornerback to safety at the age of 30.
Sammy Watkins may get one-on-one coverage at the bottom.
Isolated against Jimmy Smith. Taylor on 3rd and 6. High pass through the hands of the tight end Charles Clay. Incomplete. It was Eric Weddle the new quarterback of their secondary there on the coverage.
Combination route between Sammy Watkins and Charles Clay. Watkins lifts the coverage, and then underneath, there's Clay. The ball has to come out sooner. Weddle's able to break on it, and if you're Tyrod Taylor, you have to throw the ball before Clay makes his break. Play with greater anticipation. Clay made the break and was still waiting on the ball to arrive, allowing Weddle to make the play.
Weddle, that tumultuous final season in San Diego, didn't get the contract extension he wanted. As flags whistle, the play dead.
False start. Offense, number 65. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
Bills were the most penalized team in the NFL in terms of yardage last season, and a lot of special teams penalties as they take one right here. Nearly 1,300. As Colton Schmidt will have a couple of more yardage or space here to try to pin Hester back deep in their side of the field. Fair catch signaled by Hester. And this one will be down inside the Ravens 10. Perfectly placed 39-yard punt from Colton Schmidt. Well, your weekend starts here. Thursday, the Jets with a run-in against the Bills and their old pal Rex Ryan. Thursday Night Football, CBS and NFL Network. You talk about a tough way to start the season. Rex Ryan and company on the road here, and then a short week. Something that certainly is in the back of Rex's mind today. So Flacco and company back onto the field. This is Terrence West, the Baltimore product. And Salmon is always pressured to win in the NFL, but certainly on Rex Ryan, 5 straight losing seasons, and has not coached a team into the playoffs since that run to the 2010 AFC title game with the Jets.
And already, I think Rex Ryan and the Buffalo Bills squandered a great opportunity after the botched snap between the center and Joe Flacco. They got the turnover, great field position, no points to show.
Flacco from the gun. This is 2nd and 8. Going to take a shot. Far side of the field. It is caught. Brashad Perriman saying hello to the NFL. One-on-one against Stephon Gilmore. First down and a lot more.
So we can tell you, Joe Flacco still has that big-time arm, but now he has big-time talent at the wide receiver position in the form of Brashad Perriman. His first NFL catch. First time they've thrown it to him in his career, and he comes down with it over a big-time corner in Stephon Gilmore.
A lot of firsts. First time he's on the same field with Joe Flacco in a real game. After Perriman played just one preseason game. Quick strike underneath to the tight end Crockett Gilmore, but what an arduous path this kid has had. 17 months after they took him 26th overall. Had that initial PCL injury, then returns. Final day of OTAs in the spring, partially torn ACL.
But he's a big, talented receiver. 6'2", 210 pounds, and has the vertical speed to stretch it. Both he and Mike Wallace, they are huge additions to this wide receiving core here in Baltimore.
On 2nd and 5, they hand it to West. The young man who starred not far from here at Northwestern High School. First down run, also a collegiate star here at Towson. A pickup of 6 as they move the chains again.
When he came out of Towson, the Baltimore Ravens were ready to draft him. The Cleveland Browns moved ahead, smartly so. Moved ahead of Baltimore. They took Terrence West, so he spent his first couple of years in Cleveland with the Browns, and now he's back home here in Baltimore.
The Browns took him in the 3rd round, had that very impressive rookie season, but then the issues off the field. Eventually shipped off to Tennessee. They cut him shortly thereafter, and now trying to resurrect his career in his hometown. Flacco somehow gets it away and completes to Kamar Aiken. A magic trick by Flacco with Hughes giving chase.
Kamar Aiken grew up in this offense 1 season ago. Pressure on Flacco. He's rehabbed the knee, still has enough mobility, and still has that arm strength to drive this way outside the numbers while getting away from the defenders. And Aiken was able to work his way back to the quarterback.
So Flacco now 8 of his first 9. Here is West. Brought down by the safety Corey Graham and former Baltimore Raven. Well, the wait is almost over. Be there when the Big Bang Theory kicks off with a star-studded premiere that will have everyone talking. It all happens Monday, September the 19th, only CBS. So excited to have you with us. Spiro Thetis, Solomon Wilcots, Dana Jacobson, rest of our CBS crew from M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Only the 7th all-time meeting between these two teams. Still scoreless with under 2 minutes left in the quarter. This is Forsett. Buck Allen, who took over after Forsett went down with the injury last year, is inactive, so only 2 running backs that John Harbaugh has gone with today.
Holding. Offense, number 73. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Well, you rarely see that. That's Marshall Yanda, their all-pro tackle. He's been called now for only 3 penalties over the last 3 seasons.
Oh, he's the stalwart on that offensive line and really one of the true leaders on this football team for John Harbaugh. He's a tough guy as an interior blocker on this offense. If they're going to run the football, they're going to run it behind Marshall Yanda. On that right side is where they have all the experience, opposite of where the 2 rookies are on the left side.
Already the 4th penalty called against the Ravens, totaling 25 yards. 7th play of the drive. Flacco on 2nd and 17. Looking for Perriman, the rookie. It falls incomplete. Very tight coverage, spearheaded by Gilmore.
Yeah, this is just Perriman working in front, getting across the face on the slant route. You got to be able to come down with that one. That's where Perriman's still going to grow. He's a talented player, but if you're going to take that kind of lick, you got to make sure you come down with it and make a play for your quarterback.
Gilmore last season, career best with 3 interceptions that led this Buffalo secondary. Flacco has completed the 7 different receivers. Where does he go here? Keep it on the ground, 3rd and 17, just trying to get their kicker into better range. That's Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback. And now Justin Tucker, I beg your pardon, their kicker will come onto the field.
They had good rhythm on that possession. It really was the holding call on Marshall Yanda that kind of derailed their ability to push the ball down inside the red zone, and then just got behind the sticks on downs.
Tucker fresh off signing that big extension in the middle of July. 18 of 30 in his career from 50 plus. This one from exactly 50, and Tucker is good. So it takes nearly a quarter, but finally we get our first points. And Tucker trying to get these fans revved up in Baltimore.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Outback Steakhouse. Bloomin' great.
$50-yard field goal by Justin Tucker. Gets the Ravens on the board. 35 seconds left to play in this opening quarter. M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Week 1, first full Sunday of the new season. And Tucker boots it through the back of the end zone. They'll start at the 25. We go downstairs, say hello to Dana Jacobson.
All right, thanks, guys. You know, we know Ed Reed used to dominate on the field out here for the Baltimore Ravens defense. He is back this week as a coach for the Buffalo Bills. Rex Ryan actually gave him a call in the offseason, begged him to come take the job. I saw Ed Reed before the game. He got a chance to say hello and smile and hug a few old teammates. He told me he's really glad he took the job. He's having fun. The best part is he sees the game from the inside out, so he gets to coach those defensive backs like he's playing alongside with them.
All right, Dana, 11 Hall of Fame seasons here as a Raven, still such a beloved member of this organization. Rex said he had to beg him to join his staff and was able to recruit his old warhorse safety. A little underneath pass taken by LaShawn McCoy. What did Rex tell us? He also has Ed Reed working out about 3 times a week, just in case.
Just in case.
He decides to come back and play.
His name hangs here at M&T Bank Stadium. And he was one of those guys that every quarterback who ever played against Ed Reed, they didn't quite know what he was thinking. They didn't know where he would be. He was like a ghost playing in that secondary. He'd come out of nowhere to make big plays with interceptions.
You saw the press box. That's where the secondary coaches are. Ed Reed behind that glass.
Still can't find him.
And there's LaShawn McCoy. Lowers his shoulder, picks up about 5 as he crosses the 30. And happy birthday to Ed Reed today, celebrated his 38th birthday. Tackled on the play by Zachary Orr. End of 1, you're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, Week 1 continues later today on Fox. And tonight, Sunday Night Football on NBC. And a little double dip opening Monday of the new season coming up tomorrow. ESPN, Steelers, Redskins, and the Rams playing their first official game since journeying from St. Louis back to Los Angeles. Total yards of an ugly side for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, only 4 yards passing for Tyrod Taylor. Greg Roman's got to get his quarterback going. You know, Tyrod Taylor played his first 4 seasons here in Baltimore. Said he wanted to take the emotion out of it, but right now his defense is swarming. He's finding the yards tough to come by.
This was the #1 rushing team in the NFL. You saw that number, 1 quarter complete. Is desperately looking for some positive yardage. Taylor from the gun on 3rd and 4. It's time to throw, fires and completes. Locates Watkins for the first down catch. Watkins out of bounds, a pickup of 5, and that's something that Tyrod desperately needed.
Well, this time they isolated Sammy Watkins on Jimmy Smith all the way. Tyrod was looking to that side of the field the entire time. Knew he wanted to go to Watkins, stayed with it. Watkins made a play for him.
And Taylor talked all week about wanting to keep his emotions in check. 4 years here, so close to Flacco and members of this team, both sides of the ball. Those emotions have to be swirling inside of him as Taylor throwing on the run, too high, intended for Greg Salas. Incomplete. Salmon, what have you seen from Taylor so far?
He had Salas open, but pressure coming in his face right here. There's a little bump to the chest, staying away from the head neck area. Kind of felt that one, but he had an opportunity to complete that one down the field. Just kind of sailed high over the head of his intended receiver. He was the understudy for 4 seasons under Joe Flacco. Said that what he learned the most from Joe Flacco is to remain poised. You know, Joe Flacco rarely has a pulse. You don't see him going up or down with the emotions of the game, and that's the quarterback Tyrod Taylor wants to be.
On 2nd and 10, they keep it short. This is McCoy, so dangerous as a catcher out of the backfield. Anthony Levine Sr., the 29-year-old 50-year man, dumps him for a loss of, for a pickup, beg your pardon, of 4.
You know, the Buffalo Bills so badly wanted to come into the 2016 season, wanting to improve their intermediate, short, quick passing game. And then as we get here in the second quarter, we've yet to see them push the ball down the field. Something they did so very well as any team in all of 2015.
Third and 6. Taylor set. And this Ravens defense just keeps coming. Timmy Jernigan credited for the sack.
Jernigan, he gets loose. They also bring the blitzing linebacker, C.J. Mosley. You see him coming right up the face, into the face of Tyrod Taylor. He had nowhere to go. Even his great mobility couldn't save him there.
And that was the area where this defense struggled, a pass rush or lack thereof last season. And keep in mind, they're without Elvis Dumervil today. Still not ready to come back from that foot injury that they had to have corrected during the offseason. Colton Schmidt on the punt, and Hester unable to play it. Joe Flacco back onto the field when we come back. 50-yard field goal by Justin Tucker, the difference, and this has been the story. Greg Roman and that Buffalo offense getting nothing going till this point. They've had better field position, starting on average at their own 37, and even had the turnover, but they couldn't capitalize. They come at Flacco. That pass is short, as Flacco having to throw in the face of pressure. Look at the CBS Sports app for inside access to your favorite team. From the front office to the front row, you'll get instant coverage of every moment from every angle. Download the CBS Sports app. Get it today. 70,000 plus, 3-0 Ravens as we play early stages of this second quarter. And Solomon, both offenses just trying to get their footing here in the first half.
Well, the Baltimore Ravens, though, they're going with multiple formations.
On 2nd and 10, this is Forsett, gaping hole. Nearly a first down run, knocked down after a pickup of 9 by the safety Aaron Williams.
They're able to go with that stretch zone play, the outside zone to the right side of the formation. And look, great blocking over on that side. Marshall Yanda was able to pin his man inside, create running room for Justin Forsett. If they get him going in the run game, then they come back with the bootlegs and play action pass to try to crease your defense.
Critical 3rd and 1 play as Flacco and company try to extend the drive. Handoff taken by Forsett. They needed the 25. Appear to have enough. And now they signal first down. We told you about Forsett. That interesting roster maneuver. Cut him last Saturday. Was back with the team. Said that he was getting a bunch of texts from family and friends that obviously weren't involved in the thinking. Trying to console him. But he kind of knew he'd be back in the Ravens uniform very quickly.
You get the sense he and the team had a wink, nod type of deal. Just 2 years ago, remember, he had over 1,200 rushing yards for the Baltimore Ravens and led the league with a 5.4 yards per carry average. So he's very important to this football team.
Play clock down to 1. Flacco didn't realize it until perhaps it was too late.
Joe shaking off some rust.
First timeout. Baltimore. Their first will be 30 seconds. Timeout.
Well, I don't know. Appeared to be about a half second late. Ravens get the call. Timeout. 3-0. Ravens in front.
Welcome back to Baltimore. The Buffalo Bills and the Ravens facing off. Baltimore with a 3-0 lead right now. Running back Justin Forsett started off this month by giving back. He was with the team before their preseason finale in Louisiana, and he wanted to help out the victims from some of that historical flooding down there. He donated some of his own money, volunteered with the United Way by giving some of his time and visiting with some of the people down there that were suffering through so much. He said he just wanted to continue to raise awareness since they were still suffering. In his words, I know it could happen to any of us.
Forsett, the Lakeland, Florida native, high school football star in Texas. Certainly has a connection to that part of the country. With family and friends as a penalty marker is thrown.
False start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Happens again with Marshall Yanda. We've already seen 3 miscues with this offensive line. Yanda twice, Jeremy Zutaw with the snap that turned out to be a turnover. We talked about week 1 being a point of discovery for coaches. The players, veteran players, need that first game to really get back in terms of playing at a top level.
So Mark Trestman, second season as their offensive coordinator. This is West showing some burst. And he has defenders on his back. Lorente McCray going for a ride. A run of 10 for Terrence West.
Yeah, they lose leverage in terms of trying to contain West. Starts one way, watch him bounce it back. And see right there, as soon as he gets around Hughes, he's able to get to that second level of the defense, breaks a tackle from Gilmore, ends up with a positive 5-yard gain.
Flacco from the gun. This is 2nd and 5 over the middle and completes. Smith making the initial guy miss. You know, we asked John Harbaugh about West and what to expect. He said that physically he's a different player. Got his body fat down from about 20% to 13, and you're seeing it. Looks very dynamic so far.
Yeah, what you get with that when you lose weight, most players in the NFL think you have to be bigger, stronger. No, what you need is speed and quickness to be elusive like what you saw on that run.
What does Trestman dial up here on 3rd and 1? Still plenty of time on the play clock at 10. Flacco puts some air under it, has his man, it's caught! Mike Wallace, and he's in for the Ravens touchdown! 66 yards from Flacco.
This Buffalo defense, they like to go man-to-man in order to put pressure on the quarterback. But if you're going to do that, you've got to be able to get home. And see, it's man-to-man here, but this is where he gets open. Flacco sees it, and he cuts it loose to go ahead and make that play. Look at that, nice throw. We have some technical errors there, but no errors on that play by Mike Wallace and Joe Flacco.
Duke Williams, the man beat in the coverage, and Mike Wallace coming off his most disappointing season in the NFL. Only 473 yards receiving last season in Minnesota. 66 yards on a perfectly thrown ball from Flacco. You're watching the NFL on CBS. There is a penalty marker on the field at around the 24-yard line. Officials conferencing. Well, we know Flacco likes to throw the deep ball, that cannon of an arm that he has. That time perfectly able to put the right touch on it.
The PAT is good. After the play was over, there was personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 28 of the receiving team, Buffalo. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
Another special teams penalty against Rex Ryan's Bills. That time it's Ronald Darby, the man penalized. 10-0 Ravens on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Genesis. Take a breath of fresh luxury. Verizon. Welcome to Verizon LTE Advanced, the next-gen network. And by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com.
Ravens go 6 plays, 85 yards, 66-yard touchdown strike from Joe Flacco to Mike Wallace, one of his newest receivers, coming over from the Vikings in free agency. 163rd career touchdown pass thrown by Flacco. Tucker booms another kick through the back of the end zone, so they will have it from the 25. We expected physical play. It's exactly what we've got.
Well, both teams are trying to assert their identity and impose their will on the opposing team. And look, getting chippy, hitting Sammy Watkins, taking a hit on the quarterback when you get an opportunity. No one wants to hit the opposing quarterback more than Rex Ryan, and no team is going to allow anyone to come into M&T Bank Stadium and push them around. You know, the Baltimore Ravens, they've been known to put up a fight.
Look at the total yards discrepancy till this point. Just over 10 minutes left in the second quarter. With a fake pass from Taylor, and McCoy comes out of the fray. A lot of open real estate as he is run out of bounds by Sharice Wright, fooling that Baltimore front. 16 yards in the run by McCoy.
You better be disciplined in your pursuit angles coming from the outside, from the left side, to tackle LeSean McCoy. See there, you get pinned inside. He's going to bounce it outside. You have to know, stay outside, he'll come back to you. You go peeking around inside, his speed is very dangerous when he hits the perimeter of the formation.
So finally a first down. Taylor again, hands off to McCoy, who takes a hard whack. McCoy last season missing 4 games with knee and hamstring injuries. Still managed to get picked to his 4th Pro Bowl in 5 years, but just didn't feel like it was his kind of season from what we've seen in his career.
Well, he started the season in preseason last year with an injury. A lot of hamstring problems. Was able to start opening day, but just found it tough to stay in the lineup. Did not hit that 1,000-yard mark that we're accustomed to seeing from LeSean McCoy. He appears to be healthy and ready to run in 2016.
Gets a blow here. Mike Gillislee, the third-year man who came on last 5 games last season on the field. Taylor fakes to him on 2nd and 2. Ravens giving chase, and Taylor no choice but to throw it out of bounds. Another flag is thrown. It was C.J. Mosley coming with the heat, and Zadarius Smith. Flag thrown back.
Glenn Gronkowski is trying to block there and was able to hold.
There was no foul for intentional grounding. The passer was outside the pocket and threw the ball beyond the line of scrimmage. There was holding. Offense, number 48. 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Solomon, you're right. It is Gronkowski, the rookie fullback, one of the surprise players that made their opening day roster. As the Buffalo product is whistled, and younger brother, of course, of Patriot star Rob Gronkowski.
The unfortunate part, he didn't have to hold on the play. He had his guy blocked, and as Tyrod Taylor went to escape and run, then he grabbed hold of the defender and drew. Hey, Ricky!
Penalty's such a big part of the story last season for Rex's Bills. And so far more of the same. On 2nd and 12, this is Watkins over the middle. So dangerous, trying to find open daylight. They pick up 8. Tackled by Suggs and Sharice Wright for the Ravens.
So far, the Buffalo Bills, running these kinds of crossing routes. This is rare. You don't see a lot of these with Sammy Watkins. You normally see him going vertical down the field where speed could be more effective at creating big plays. And so it's going to be interesting to see the Buffalo Bills push the ball down the field and challenge the secondary for Baltimore that really struggled 1 year ago.
Play clock down to 2. Taylor fires and completes. Robert Woods with a first down catch.
Good throw, good catch. Wasn't sure if Woods was going to be able to get both feet down. That ball was on him in a hurry. This was a laser thrown to him. And look, you see he's able to get that second foot down. Good control, catch, and he survived the fall to the ground. You didn't see that ball come loose in any way, shape, or form. Excellent execution of the fundamentals.
Woods saw his numbers drop a bit last season, his third in the league. After that career year in 2014, 700 yards receiving. Here is McCoy on 1st and 10. Finds the edge, cuts back, up the sideline, and a nifty run by McCoy, the Pro Bowler. One of the deadliest runners in the NFL. 13 more yards and another first down.
This is their version of what we call the jet sweep. Look, you see they pull the guard, pull the tackle even. Able to get out front, have receivers Woods blocking out in front, and the speed of LeSean McCoy can get to the edge of the defense at the NFL level. Not everyone can bounce it outside, but the quickness and speed of LeSean McCoy, he can be effective running that play for Greg Roman.
Reggie Bush. First time we've seen him in an offensive snap today. And Taylor trying to locate him, threw it too high under duress. Webb was right on Taylor's back. And the pass for Bush too high, incomplete. Coming up Tuesdays this fall, NCIS's Michael Weatherly returns to CBS in the new legal drama Bull. Premieres Tuesday, September the 20th, only CBS.
You know, coming in, Spiro, we said that Tyrod Taylor was very accurate, very poised. 8 of 11 so far in the first half, only 27 yards. That was an easy throw out in the flat to Reggie Bush. He missed it. Yes, he was under pressure, but we're accustomed to seeing him to complete some of those short intermediate passes.
Bush stays on the field, takes the handoff from Taylor, and he is going nowhere fast.
They were trying to go back to that jet sweep. There you see, they're saying no way. They were able to shut that one down. Lawrence Guy, number 93, he's out in front of it. So they can't get to the edge. So he's forced to cut it back. Lawrence Guy stayed home against the quickness of Reggie Bush and shut it down.
Bush just 5 games before that knee injury on the concrete in St. Louis. Member of the Niners last season. Buffalo signed him on the 1st of August. His 15 in 7 years. Trying to resurrect his career. 3rd and 13. Taylor somehow escapes the sack, spinning and completes. An incredible play. It's Clay still going inside the 5. First it was Taylor and then it was Clay.
This is where Tyrod Taylor can be very dangerous. 1 minute you have him and the next minute you don't. Right there you thought you had him. That's Albert McClellan. He spins out of it to find Charles Clay down the field, and Clay nearly broke a tackle to score a touchdown on the play, but that was magical by Tyrod Taylor. We've seen him do this before. Just when you think you have him captured in that backfield, he springs free to make a play with his arm.
That was video game-like from Taylor. 33 yards on the pass play to set up a 1st and goal. And off McCoy. Trying to move the pile short of the goal line, but they inch closer right around the 1. And those are the kind of plays, Solomon, that set a guy like Tyrod Taylor apart. Able to burn you with his legs as well as his arm.
Yeah, the linebacker, Albert McClellan, said, hey, what do I have to do to come away with a sack in that situation? He literally had him right in his grasp, and Taylor was able to get out of it.
Bills were on the bottom half of the league last year in red zone offense. First time they're in the 20 today. McCoy cutting back, lunges end zone. No signal yet, appears to be short.
Oh yeah, I kind of thought he was in after that lunge. Rex Ryan wondering if he should throw the flag. Because it's not ruled a scoring play, they're not going to look at it automatically. There he is, right there. Okay, right now you can see that right cheek appeared to be down before he crossed the chalk line.
3rd and goal. Taylor trying to sneak it, and now a challenge flag has been thrown. You see the red flag in front of the Buffalo sideline.
Challenge on the play.
Yeah, see, he has to challenge it. It wasn't ruled a scoring play. If it had been, they would have looked at it automatically. But because it was not ruled a scoring play, it's up to Rex Ryan to have to
Buffalo
challenge the play if he thinks it was a score.
The runner was short of the goal line. Timeout.
Rex got the word from his coaches upstairs in the box, and so they will challenge whether McCoy was in on that last run. Timeout. Rex Ryan and the Bills challenging that last McCoy run that was ruled short of the end zone. And this one was awfully close.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Buffalo will be charged with a challenge and their first time out. Please reset the game clock to 3:57. 3:57 on the game clock.
Now there's a process. It's got to come from upstairs. They tell the assistant coach down on the field who runs over the Rex Ryan, said, hey, our information upstairs says you got to challenge this. And so, you know, Rex Ryan last year, he was criticized for challenging plays of this nature. But what if he hadn't challenged it and then he ends up having to settle for a field goal here? Most people would say, hey, you could have challenged that one. You'd have had yourself a touchdown.
3rd and goal. Taylor trying to sneak it in. Ravens trying to hold. And Taylor is short. And now another big decision for Rex Ryan.
Yeah. First, they should get movement on the left side. They really believe in Richie Incognito to be able to get movement to that left side on a quarterback sneak, and they're not able to get in.
What do you do here?
It's 4th down. It's early in the season. You're not out of this game. To me, you have to come out of this situation with points. I think you go ahead and take the field goal. You're not going to lose the game here, but neither are you going to win it. You got to come out of this situation with points. I would go ahead and take the field goal.
Well, Rex, never a guy who is bashful to roll the dice. Cordy Glenn is the injured Buffalo player, such an indispensable part of Greg Roman's offensive line.
See, in my mind, you would have, if you were going to score, if you were good enough to score, you were good enough to score on that previous play on a quarterback sneak, just inches away from the goal line, but yet didn't get enough movement to do so. Right now, this defensive line, in my mind, is winning the day for the Baltimore Ravens.
So Cordy Glenn has to go to the sideline. He's replaced for the moment by Ryan Groy, the 3rd-year man out of Wisconsin. 4th and goal. And now Buffalo's going to think about it a little bit longer. He'll take a timeout.
So already 2 timeouts on this possession. They're gone. And that's what happens when you start to chase those points.
You know, they lose 1 timeout on the missed challenge, and now they'll take their second with 3:06 to play and the most critical juncture so far of this first half.
Can't you read it? Come the next day if you don't score here. Ooh.
Coming up, the Verizon halftime report. We'll send you to New York. The guys standing by, JB and the fellas. All the scores and highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. All next on the Verizon halftime report. Well, you thought maybe he would kind of rethink things, but he sends his quarterback back onto the field. And you see that little sly grin from his ex-coaching mate, John Harbaugh. 12th play of the drive that started at their own 25. McCoy lunges, end zone, touchdown Buffalo.
They go back behind Richie Incognito at that left guard position. This is just a straight dive play. It's all muscle on muscle. Incognito creates an opening on that left side. And how about Shady McCoy? He gets skinny. He gets in the end zone there. But boy, they burned through 2 timeouts and significant time in order to get the touchdown. Good thing they came away with 6 points here.
What did Greg Roman say about his offensive linemen yesterday? These are lunch pail guys. And Rex Ryan certainly knows about some of the horses he has up front. And they go right behind Incognito, as Solomon points out. Another injured Bill This time it's the tight end Jim Dre, the 7th-year man out of Stanford. There's Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator.
Ooh, that was a gutsy call. Here I am talking about let's get the field goal, get away with some points. You know Rex Ryan, he doesn't lay up. If we
Not
were
a
to use,
conservative
if we were to
fella.
use the golf analogy, you know, there's a big lake. He's going over the lake.
It's how he made his bones as a coach. Here for 10 years. Incredible seasons as the Ravens defensive coordinator, making his 4th appearance as a head coach against his old franchise, yet to beat Baltimore as a head coach. Here's Dan Carpenter. Missed 6 PATs last season. That was the second most in the NFL. He was one of the kickers that struggled with that extended extra point. This time he is good as LaShawn McCoy caps off a 75-yard drive. The incredible play by Taylor to Clay. And then Rex Ryan rolling the dice to get the Bills on the board.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light, beer with your team on it. And by AutoTrader. Find your perfect new, used, or certified car on AutoTrader.
Just outside M&T Bank Stadium, so a Bills offense that had just 2 total yards at the end of the first, finally able to kick it into gear. 12 plays, 75 yards. And that critical decision by Rex Ryan to go for it on 4th and goal as LaShawn McCoy able to run it in. Here is Hester, will play it from just inside his own end zone. The ever dangerous return man crosses the 20. And a little bit short of where they would have had it with a touchback. 23 yards on the return. Salman, what have you seen so far from Flacco?
Oh, Joe Flacco's been very crisp and clean, throwing the ball, giving his wide receivers opportunities to make catches, showing strength in that big arm of his. He's completed passes to 7 different receivers, including the 66-yard touchdown strike to Mike Wallace, getting the ball down the field. So he's been efficient with the intermediate throws, but still possessing that big-time arm that you saw in the touchdown pass.
And he has spread the wealth so far. 7 different receivers have caught a pass. 1st and 10, pocket starts to collapse, and that pass goes straight into the turf. Kyle Williams coming with the pressure straight up the gut.
See, even this was a good play. Now, he's dusting himself off. Look, he didn't want to force this ball. It could have been intercepted, but yet he's not going to take the sack. That's a 9-year veteran understanding how to manage a football game and understanding situational moments where you don't want to take the sack and lose momentum in this game, but yet don't risk it by forcing the ball into tight coverage.
Dennis Pitta making his return to the NFL in motion. This is Forsett. Short at the 30 and brought down at around the 28. Now, we spent some time with Flacco on Friday. As you see Steve Smith once again jawing with Stephon Gilmore. You have to think that he's thinking about the knees. We'll see what happened there between Smith and Darby. Smith just getting into it with everyone.
We told you he's not going to back
Gilmore.
down. And that has become the culture of the Baltimore Ravens. You talked about the 15 games last year where the games were decided by 8 points or less. Now, they were 5 and 11. They didn't win the majority of those games with all the injuries they had, but they never backed down despite losing so many good players due to injury.
Flacco on 3rd and 5. Elects to go underneath. This is Forsett. 1st down and more. Tripped up after a pickup of 10 as Forsett running into daylight. Gilmore able to trip him up as we reach the 2-minute warning. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Oh, the Raven looks menacing, doesn't he?
I thought one was Edgar Allan Poe and the other was the Raven, contemplating the great issues of life.
Another reminder, Verizon Halftime Report comes your way next. JB and the fellas standing by. All the scores and highlights on the Verizon Halftime Report coming up in just a couple of minutes. 1st and 10 after the break. Steve Smith with another catch. It was anyone's guess how he would come back, age of 37. After a devastating Achilles injury, he's looked good so far.
Well, he met with Ozzie Newsome, met with John Harbaugh at the end of last year, and they told him, hey, we want you back. He said, it's a good thing that I had a contract to come back to, and he's happy to be back.
Second and 5 for Set crosses the 45. And talked about that emotional conversation. It was less than a week after the Achilles injury, before he had even had the surgery. He and his wife Angie went into Ozzie Newsome's office and said it was a real emotional, raw conversation, and as a group they just kind of collectively decided he was going to come back.
Well, he brings so much to the team. Not only great leadership, great work ethic. I think he's really good for a young receiver like Rashad Perriman to model his work ethic, just how to become a good pro in the National Football League.
Ravens trying to extend the drive here. You see 2 timeouts left. Excellent pickup on the block to free up Flacco, and he finds his good buddy Dennis Pitta. First down catch. Pitta's first reception since 2014.
Yeah, the crowd here at M&T Bank Stadium, they love it. Not only because it's a great catch that creates a first down, but because Dennis Pitta is a fan favorite around here. Remember his run in the playoffs of 2012 that helped them win a Super Bowl championship? He and Joe Flacco were red hot.
721 days since his last game in 2014. Fractured hip in consecutive seasons, just devastating. There was questions on whether or not he would ever return, but here he is, and actually a big need for him. We know that Benjamin Watson was lost for the season with that Achilles injury in the preseason. As we move under a minute, Flacco trying to go right back to Pitta. That time it falls incomplete.
Pitta had that one. It kind of got away from him. And you trying to get into the range for Tucker. And the Ravens trying to get some more points on the board before the half.
One of the best long-range kickers in the NFL. You see what he has done. 10 career game-winning field goals in his 5-year career already. 2nd and 10. Flacco again operating from the gun. That pass dangerously thrown through the hands of both Ronald Darby and Mike Wallace, the intended receiver.
Just good coverage by Ron Darby. All rookie team last year. Look at how he stays in front of the receiver. He's not afraid to use his speed. He doesn't think the receiver can blow by him, but he's able to maintain position. Just didn't leave any room for Flacco to complete that pass.
Darby playing less than an hour from where he grew up, Oxon Hill, Maryland. Started Potomac High School there. They're going to find defensive play. 3rd and 10. Ravens down to their final timeout. 42 seconds left in the half. Bills coming with the heat, and it's Jerry Hughes getting to Flacco.
Very risky when you blitz Joe Flacco. You got to trust, if you're Rex Ryan, that the cornerbacks are going to hold up. But off the left side, there's Hughes coming right underneath the center, Jeremy Zutaw. He's able to overpower Zutaw to get into the face of the quarterback. I think Zutaw was expecting help from Justin Forsett, who's normally really good in recognizing pass protection and helping to pick up the blitzer.
Any surprise, Solomon, that Rex Ryan didn't elect to take his final timeout?
Yeah, that is a surprise. I mean, considering he had enough time to maybe get good field position. But I think he's going to concede, take it into the second half, and get his team ready to fight in the second half of this ball game.
You saw the Bills will receive the football to begin the second half. So a Bills defense that was much maligned with that lack of a pass rush, able to dump Flacco to close the first half. End of 2 quarters, 10-7 Ravens. The Verizon Halftime Report is next. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Back in Baltimore, where we are just about ready for the start of the second half. Ravens in front of Rex Ryan and the Bills, 10-7. Let's take a look at the first half highlight presented by DirecTV. So much talk about this improved wide receiving core for the Ravens, and Mike Wallace introducing himself to his new home city. 66 yards on the perfectly thrown pass by Flacco. And we welcome you back to our CBS broadcast booth here at M&T Bank Stadium. Spiro Dedes and Solomon Wilcots, all to talk about the quarterback comparison mentor against former pupil, and kind of a mixed bag for both guys.
That's right, and Joe Flacco right now taking his former student to school because Joe Flacco's playing at a very high level. Came out, looked really good, throwing the ball down the field, spreading it around to 7 different receivers, including the 66-yard touchdown to Mike Wallace. And Tyrod Taylor said he wanted to play fast, but right now I think he's gotten off to a slow start. The ball's not coming out as quickly as he would like. It's coming out late. He's got to be able to get the ball into the hands of his receivers so that they can create yards after the catch. And then they've got to be able to push the ball down the field and threaten and challenge the Baltimore Ravens secondary.
Dana Jacobson spoke with Rex Ryan earlier. Let's go to her right now.
Spiro, thank you. Yeah, Rex Ryan told me coming out of the tunnel that his team on offense really just needs to stay the course, that they've got to keep pushing it. He liked what he saw on that touchdown drive, and they need more of that. He said it didn't hurt at all that Tyrod Taylor pulled a bit of a Houdini. He'll see if his quarterback has a little more magic in the second half.
Yeah, Dana, Rex certainly knows the pressure that he's always had to contend with. Every coach deals with Solomon in the NFL, but look, 5 straight years without a winning season as a head coach, hasn't led a team to the playoffs since 2010. It's kind of make or break time if you're Rex Ryan and this coaching staff. Now the Bills will have the football to begin the second half as we take a look at the first half numbers.
Well, the Baltimore Ravens, they want to be able to dominate in the run game. It's pretty much stalemate, even though they lead. But look at the passing yards. Joe Flacco, we talked about him. He's pushing the ball down the field, still connecting underneath on the intermediate throws. He's just playing very highly efficient in the passing game right now, and they've got good balance working on offense as well. That's something he said he wanted to do, is to establish their identity early. I think they did it on the offensive side of the ball in the first half.
Bills, if you've just joined us, had 2 total yards at the end of the first quarter. Tyrod Taylor, that incredible play on the pass to Charles Clay, set up in 1st and goal, and then Rex going for it on 4th down as they bang it in to get on the board. This is LaShawn McCoy, tripped up by Sharice Wright, a pickup of 4. How did McCoy look to you in the first half?
Very quick, very shifty. I think he's got to do a better job of committing at pressing the line of scrimmage. I think he wants to bounce it almost every single time he gets on the edge. The defenders know it. That's why Sharice Wright was able to make and secure that tackle out on the perimeter.
Injury update from the Buffalo locker room. Cordy Glenn, a 5th-year tackle, has an ankle injury, will not return. So Cyrus Kwanjo is now in his spot at that left tackle position. McCoy is very close to that 1st down marker. Suggs on the tackle, and Buffalo able to move the chains.
Much better play by McCoy, as you see Suggs. Terrell Suggs, look, he comes, he's going to make that tackle right there. So he's able to move. He's back after the Achilles tendon injury. The second one of his career, ended his season 1 year ago.
And we asked him about it, said that retirement never entered into his mind. Guy that missed only 3 games his first 9 seasons. He's missed 23 over the last 4. There's 2 Achilles in that devastating biceps injury. Taylor on 1st and 10, has all day to throw, fires and completes. This is Watkins. Inside Ravens territory, C.J. Mosley on the tackle, 19 yards as now they start to pick apart this Ravens secondary.
Yeah, Suggs coming off the right side. He doesn't get close. Look, all day to survey that defense for Tyrod Taylor. We talked about him needing to challenge his secondary. There you see Watkins getting open against Jimmy Smith there, wide open, able to make that catch. And then you can see Suggs not quite 100% yet as they're able to keep him far away from the quarterback.
3rd catch of the afternoon for Watkins, totaling 32 yards. 1st and 10 from the Ravens 46. Taylor fakes the handoff to McCoy. Short strike caught by Woods. And forced out of bounds by Albert McClellan, making his first start since 2012. That's a pickup of 4.
And what do you notice on this first possession in the second half by the Bills offense? They're playing much faster. The ball's coming out of the hands of the quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, quicker, getting it into the hands of his intended receivers, this time over the Woods on the sideline. So Greg Roman, offense coordinator, over there calling those plays, trying to create a better tempo and rhythm to the offense to get this defense on their heels and gain some momentum for his offense.
Roman sends out Reggie Bush, one of his newest weapons, on 2nd and 6. And here is Bush on Jackson Day late inches closer to the 36. So Reggie Bush, of course, the second overall pick taken by the Saints. Couple of great years in New Orleans, a Super Bowl championship, first team All-Pro in 08, and then those injuries started to rack up. Last year played just 5 games before sustaining that meniscus tear in his knee with the Niners.
Tyrod Taylor told Reggie Bush, "Hey, I grew up watching you play." He said he didn't like it. He kind of made him feel old. And Reggie Bush now 10 years in the National Football League, and boy, has he put in some work. He's still fun to watch.
Bush only 3 years removed from his last 1,000-yard season with Detroit back in 2013. Big 3rd and 1. McCoy made the first guy miss, giving himself a chance, but he is short.
They were blitzing and pouring in. Watch Ladarius Well, number 21. He's a former corner turned safety. He's pressing, and so were other defenders in and around the ball carrier. Zachary Orr also penetrating on that play as we take a look. Now here's Greg Roman. Looks like they're going to go for it on 4th down.
You like this move?
I do. Now, it depends on what play they're going to call. Looks like they're going to have to throw it. Taylor can keep it and make a 1st down with his legs.
4th and 1. Taylor flushed out. Going to try to run for it. He's got it. There is a penalty marker thrown behind the line of scrimmage. Behind the defense, that is, right around the 26. Pressure coming from Zadarius Smith.
Holding. Defense number 22. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. Automatic. 1st down.
That's Jimmy Smith.
Well, you can only cover him for so long. He's working against Sammy Watkins. And once Tyrod Taylor breaks from that line of scrimmage, you can see there was a hole there. He had totally lost his angle. Smith doesn't appear to be moving too well.
Smith healthy again to start his season for the first time since sustaining that foot injury towards the end of 2014. He did have a pin inserted in that foot. He had it removed a couple of months later, but you see him gingerly limp to that Ravens sideline. 1st and 10, Taylor from the gun. Again, excellent pass protection. Taylor throws on the run, and it is incomplete. Off the hands of Woods, and Taylor took a shot.
Boy, did he. Number 91, Matthew Judon. Look at that. That was a clean hit. It was clean. You can hit the quarterback. He does have special protection. You just can't hit him in that head or neck area, and you can't go low at the knee area. So the target line was perfect there.
There's Dean Pease, their defensive coordinator, trying to turn the page after last season. 2nd and 10. 9th play of the drive. They snap it from the 26. This is Bush, and he's going backwards. McClellan leading the charge for the Ravens. Loss is 6.
Number 50, Albert McClellan. That's who you have to read here. Because look, once he gets up the field, you cannot run it out there. And that's where Reggie Bush has to read that. Look, he gets up the field, now you got to cut it back or cut it underneath. But you can't give ground and allow the Ravens defense to create a huge loss on the play. Your read has to be the end man on the line of scrimmage defensively. If you get him sealed, attack the outside. If he comes up the field, you got to cut it up and run underneath.
McClellan making the start for Elvis Dumerville. The stud pass rusher wasn't quite ready to return. That ball was snapped, but the whistle had been blown.
Buffalo, they're first. Timeout.
So apparently some confusion. Greg Roman wants a little extra time to think about it. 3rd and 16 when we come back. Bills 3 of 8 on 3rd down conversion attempts today. Big attempt here. 3rd and 16. From the Ravens 32. Taylor over the middle. It is caught. Woods well short of the 1st down marker. Buffalo needed the 16-yard line. They pick up only a yard. And now Dan Carpenter will come on for a long field goal attempt. Carpenter all-time against the Ravens, 6 of 7, but his longest field goal against the Ravens, only 27 yards. This will be from 49 yards out. 9th-year kicker out of Montana. Trying to tie this game at 10. This one has the leg, but he is wide right. So Buffalo's drive stalls, and Carpenter unable to bang it in from 49 yards out. Stay with us.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. We remember. State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. And by the Lincoln Motor Company and the exhilarating new Lincoln MKZ.
Inner Harbor, late summer afternoon in Baltimore. 10-7 Ravens. Spiro Thetis, Solomon Wilcott, Dana Jacobson back with you. That pass from Flacco, boy, nearly picked, and how Ronald Darby dropped that is a mystery.
You know, sometimes we would downgrade a wide receiver if they drop a potential touchdown reception. Well, this is a touchdown. If Darby catches this one, he's walking into the end zone. Clearly a mystery between Joe Flacco and Steve Smith Sr. Darby, look, there's no one between he and that pylon.
On his defense, there was that collision with the receiver, Steve Smith. Just a little bit late in squaring up his body. He had 43 yards of open real estate in front of him. Forsett on the take. How about the wisdom of Solomon here in week 1?
You know, Joe Flacco and Tyrod Taylor were teammates here in Baltimore for 4 seasons. The first time they're going to face one another here today. Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady were the students. Of course, they had been teammates, and then, of course, it was Tom Brady, the student, who prevailed over the teacher. How about Brett Favre? The teacher came out on top when Matt Hasselbeck famously won the coin toss and threw a pick-6 in overtime. Boy, we've seen some student-teacher sort of rivalries. This one is going on today. Right now, Joe Flacco on top of his student.
And everyone we talked to with the Ravens, Harbaugh, Flacco, Suggs, everyone just gushing over what kind of kid Taylor was here, as that pass from Flacco intended for the rookie Chris Moore, their 4th-round pick out of Cincinnati, is incomplete.
There you see Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, they're slugging it out. We talked about Flacco looked really good in the first half of this game, but you know, Tyrod Taylor started to turn around with that magical play where he appeared to be sacked in the second quarter. Threw the ball down the field 33 yards to his tight end Charles Clay. So there's still some magic in Tyrod Taylor. He's got some big play capabilities.
Flacco's last 4 attempts have been incompletions. Sam Cook on to punt it away, the 11th-year man. And here comes Brandon Tate. An impressive burst up the far side of the field. 46 yards on the punt from Cook, 21 on the return from Tate. Timeout. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS has a powerhouse doubleheader. First, Andy Dalton and the Bengals take on Big Ben and the Steelers. Then Andrew Luck leads his Colts against Von Miller and the Super Bowl champion Broncos. Check your local listings. It all begins with JB, Boomer, Tony, Coach, and Bart on the NFL Today. Just took a glance at the scoreboard around the NFL. Right now, Cincinnati losing to the Jets early second half, 16-13. How about the Chargers up over Kansas City? Solomon, 21-3.
That is a surprise. That game being played at Arrowhead Stadium.
So much expected this season of Alex Smith and the Chiefs. So here's Tyrod Taylor. His offense back onto the field. Took him a while, Solomon, to settle in. He had those jitters early on, really a quarter for the entire offense to get settled. But seems to be playing a little bit better over the last couple of possessions.
Yeah, it seemed to want to suppress the emotions that come with playing against your former team. He said that his 4 years here in Baltimore was like red shirt years in college, where he could just look, listen, and learn from Joe Flacco. Said he learned from some great leaders, Anquan Boldin, Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis, and Ed Reed. Had 3 different offensive coordinators his 4 years here in Baltimore.
Play action from Taylor on 2nd and 10. Throws it near side, and he finds Watkins again. Forced out of bounds by Jimmy Smith. We knew those two would be going at it today, as Watkins picks up 11 and a Buffalo first down.
But you notice the protection held up for Tyrod Taylor. He was able to hold it, was able to wait for Sammy Watkins to come out of that break, and then you saw with great accuracy, threw the ball very well there. Something tells me if the protection can hold up, Greg Roman can turn loose Tyrod Taylor in the passing game, and he'll make some plays for it.
See Watkins so far, 4th catch. Tyrod Taylor now 13 of 17, just under 100 yards passing. McCoy able to get out close to the 43. Well, you think back to Watkins' season last year, his numbers, Solomon, in the first half of the season weren't quite what he wanted them to be, kind of voiced his frustration. And over the final 9 weeks of the season, he had the 3rd most receiving yards in the NFL behind only Julio Jones and Antonio Brown.
He caught fire in those final 9 games, pretty much average 100 yards per game. He was on fire. And I think you kind of learned something about him. He challenged the coaches. The coaches responded by getting him the ball as much as he could handle, and he put up huge numbers.
First 1,000-yard season for Watkins, the former 4th overall pick a couple of years back. Taylor dances across the 45, brought down at around the 47 after a pickup of 4. Well, the king of comedy is back on CBS. Kevin James returns to the place where it all started. Kevin Can Wait premieres Monday, September the 19th. After The Big Bang Theory, only CBS. Another big 3rd down coming up. What does Greg Roman dial up here on 3rd and 2?
Well, if they come after you, look for Charles Clay. He's become a bigger part of this offense. He can dominate over the middle of the field and creates an easier passing lane for Tyrod Taylor.
Quick snap. Taylor's going to run it. Sharice Wright with a defensive gem as they dump him for a loss of 3.
Even though they roll out to the left side, Tyrod wasn't in a hurry to get there. It's almost like this is a pass option, but no, he's running it. Just did a great job, did Sharice Wright, of getting past Richie Incognito to get to the legs of Tyrod Taylor. I think Tyrod Taylor anticipated that it was just no doubt that Incognito was going to be able to throw the block.
And it was Sean McCoy, out the lead blocker, who just kind of whiffed on Wright. Punt by Colton Schmidt, once again placed exactly where he wanted it, inside the 10, 46 yards on the punt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx, helping small businesses simplify e-commerce. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Oh, it wouldn't be a trip to Baltimore without some crab cakes. I saw you taking down one of those at halftime.
Hey, I know how to pick my deal now.
So Joe Flacco and the Ravens offense back onto the field. Tough field position start here as Kyle Williams coming back from that devastating knee injury that cut short his season last year after only 6 games on the tackle.
Both offenses having a tough time just creating what we call drive starters. You want to come out fast on that first play of each possession, try to get positive gain, get the momentum going for there.
2nd and 12. Flacco on the run from his own end zone, completes to Forsett. Mikel Roby-Coleman, and now penalty flag thrown. You saw him get the back right around the top of the jersey. New point of emphasis is that horse collar tackle, as Roby-Coleman was just trying to find something to grab onto.
Grab too much.
Personal foul, grasping a helmet opening, defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Wow. Now that's a drive starter, but for the opposing offense. There he is.
So right at the back of the helmet.
Yeah, you have him stopped. There was no need to grab the back of the helmet. You had him stopped. You had him tackled. All you have to do is just contain him until help arrives, right?
So a monumental penalty. You have them pinned back deep on their own side of the field. now a fresh set of downs for Flacco and the Ravens.
Talk about drive starters, penalties for the opposing defense can help an offense get.
Reserve blow here on 1st and 10. Flacco. Pocket starts to collapse, and that pass sails incomplete. We do apologize. We understand we're having some technical issues. Try to sort through those as quickly as we can. A flag is thrown behind the line of scrimmage.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense, number 55. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Another back-breaking penalty, this time on Jerry Hughes.
You know, we saw some of these last year from the Buffalo Bills where these penalties begin to mount. And Rex Ryan, he got it in control about middle of the season. But it's one of those things you look up at the end of the year, you finish 8-8, you wonder, had we won maybe 2 more games, would have been enough to get into the playoffs. And I think they've got to learn early in 2016 not to give the other team extra opportunities by committing these foolish penalties.
Buffalo has given up 30 yards in penalties on this drive alone. So 1st and 10, they spot it just inside their own 49. You see Flacco's numbers, just at 200 yards passing on the day. Flacco somehow gets it off to West. Well, it was Ronald Darby who had Flacco wrapped up. And Flacco again, that kind of sneaky escapability to find West.
Sometimes the bigger guy wins. Flacco is 6'6", 245. But Darby is 5'11", 195. And Joe just swats him off like he's a little gnat. It's no big deal. He's draped all around Flacco. Flacco still completes this pass to Terrence West.
What did Rex Ryan call Joe Flacco? He said he's like Mount Everest back there at 6'6". Rex spoke glowingly of Flacco and the respect he has for him. This is Kamar Aiken breaking a tackle. Bills defender loses his hat as Aiken is dumped down by Preston Brown and Aaron Williams. It's actually a loss of 2. Well, not too late to play NFL Fantasy. Join Draft and play from anywhere with the all-new mobile app. Sign up free at NFL.com/fantasy. Good day on 3rd down so far for the Ravens. Up 3 as we come up on the final minute of this 3rd quarter. 3rd and 6. Flacco's pass right through the outstretched arms of Roby Coleman and caught by Pitta.
Wow. In fact, I thought Roby Coleman was going to intercept this pass. But there you see the arm talent of Joe Flacco. He lasers this one by the defender. Look at that. And what a catch by Dennis Pitta. This is what Pitta's known for. He and Flacco had a chemistry that really saw this quarterback tight end tandem going to the next level. He didn't get it, so now we have ourselves a 4th down, Spiro.
First time we've seen John Harbaugh roll the dice. They go for it on 4th and 1. Flacco rolling out, completes. That's West, and now the officials say incomplete. Oh, it was a completed pass, say the officials, but he is about, let's say, a half yard short. So completion by West, and now it comes down to the spot. And he was short. So Buffalo gets it back. Turnover on downs as John Harbaugh's gamble backfires. John Harbaugh electing to go for it on 4th down, Solomon, but they come up short.
See, upset. He's saying, hey, he held our guy. He's talking about right there. Watch Hughes. He's going to hold Terrence West, the running back, who's ready to run right by him. See, he hooked him right there, grabbed him, and then that put him back into position to make this tackle before West can make the catch and pick up the 1st down. Had he not hooked him, and grabbed him right in front of the coach, John Harbaugh, West would have made the catch for a first down. I think it was a good decision. I thought it was well executed. I think Hughes got away with the hold on that play.
So final 36 seconds of the quarter. Here's Taylor on 1st and 10. Off-balance throw over the head. Wasn't even close. Nick O'Leary, the former 6th-round pick out of Florida State. And Taylor upset with himself.
Yeah, he is upset with himself, but he stepped into this one. See right there, settle down, make the throw. He got bent over backwards by Williams on that play. We've seen Tyrod Taylor, while under pressure, throw a few high balls. That's not customary for him. We talked about his poise entering in today's game. And, he said he looks forward to coming back and playing against his old teammates one day. He's finding it tough here at M&T Bank Stadium.
Taylor, the former 6th-round pick of the Ravens in 2011. 4 years as their backup. Hands off here to LaShawn McCoy. Takes a hard wallop. Right, Eric Weddle, the safety, coming up. A pickup of 2.
Just when you think that Shady McCoy is going to run it up inside, oh no. He's going to bounce it to get back to the outside where he thinks his speed can get him even more yards. That time Eric Weddle was able to shut him down.
Final seconds come off the clock. End of the 3rd. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Scoreless 3rd quarter in Baltimore, and the 4th begins with a critical 3rd and 8 for the Bills.
In critical moments, think players, not plays. Think Sammy Watkins, think Charles Clay.
Ravens coming on a blitz. They pick it up, and that pass is caught. A miraculous catch by Clay. He is short of the 1st down marker, a pickup of 7, and they will punt.
Yeah, but guess what? This ball was nearly intercepted. We talked about, look at that. How did he make that catch? Sharice Wright broke on it. Looked like he was going to intercept that, and had he intercepted, he would have gone for a touchdown. The ball bobbles and hangs for a second, and Clay comes down with it just shy of the 1st down mark.
Now you mentioned Clay. Taylor certainly looking in his direction. With the big tight end a little bit short after an incredible catch off the deflection. Colton Schmidt on to try to pin them deep. As a penalty marker is thrown. Official signaling touchback. 49 yards on the punt. Marker way back behind the line of scrimmage. Other thing to keep in mind, Bills had to use a timeout early. We'll see if that comes back to bite them in a tight game late.
Holding, kicking team number 65. The result of the play is a touchback. That 10-yard penalty will be administered from the 20-yard line to the 30. 1st down, Baltimore. Timeout.
3rd special teams penalty on the day by the Bills. Garrison Sanborn, the culprit. Well, downtown at the Baltimore World Trade Center is the 9/11 Memorial of Maryland, commemorating the 15th anniversary of the attacks, and 3 artifacts commemorating the 3 sites. Of course, the World Trade Center in New York, the Pentagon, and Flight 93 that went down in Pennsylvania. Heavy hearts here and certainly throughout the United States. It was an emotional ceremony, and all the talk about the anthem being protested this week. You understand that the Seattle Seahawks did a team protest, well, getting ready to do one before their game. Just trying to add a little wrinkle to the national narrative there. A pass for Steve Smith is incomplete. And right now, Salman, both quarterbacks starting to struggle again.
Well, the defenses are making it tough on the opposing quarterback. And as good as Flacco was early in the ball game, this Buffalo defense starting to get at him a little bit, and the coverage is getting even tighter. Ron Darby providing excellent coverage, nearly intercepted him and almost had himself a pick 6.
First regular season appearance for Flacco since the 2 torn ligaments sustained in Week 11 against the Rams. So far, 19 of 29, 209 yards and a touchdown. This is Terrence West, but Buffalo able to hold. Preston Brown on the tackle. We send you to New York. Get an update with James Brown.
Boomer played clairvoyant on this one.
Well, we knew that it's going to be a great second half. Here comes Jeremy Hill. He's going to go 12 yards in for the touchdown run. Bengals are going to take a 20-16 lead. Andy Dalton over 300 yards passing already.
Back to Spiro, Solomon, and Dana.
All right, you see the Cincinnati Bengals. Started most incredibly last season. But once again, coming up short in the playoffs. 3rd and 10. This crowd has really quieted down. Flacco under duress, and he is sacked. Jerry Hughes with his second.
Hughes, Duzable, they come and they collapse this pocket. And where Flacco is normally really nifty with his footwork in terms of his mobility to elude the pass rush, all he can do is eat that one there. Jerry Hughes has been on fire here in the second half.
Bills had the largest decrease in sacks between 2014 and 15. It went from 54 to just 21 last year. They've got a couple of big ones today. Fair catch signaled by Bush. As you see Flacco wrapped up by that Buffalo defense.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Verizon. Welcome to Verizon LTE Advanced, the next-gen network. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Back with you from M&T Bank Stadium, Tyrod Taylor and his offense back onto the field. Buffalo 2 timeouts. They're down 3. We mentioned some of Taylor's struggles, Solomon, but he's been roughed up so far this afternoon.
It has been a physical game on Tyrod Taylor's return to Baltimore. That he has been hit, hurried, and harassed. He's getting the jersey dirty, plenty of grass stains, and he's going to have to get the whirlpool tomorrow because he's feeling it. Look at that, 19 dropbacks. He's been on the ground aplenty.
Hey, drag right, drag right!
2nd and 7. Taylor again escaping from a sack. He'll throw it across his body, far side of the field. It falls incomplete. Pressure was coming from Za'Darius Smith.
Very hard to do, throw that ball as you're running to your left. Throw it back to your right, but he did have Sammy Watkins. Look on this throw right there. He's hit going out of bounds, but he had Sammy Watkins just beyond that first down marker and missed him. Great effort.
So Taylor now 14 for 20, only 102 yards passing as we play early in the 4th.
Both the defenses are putting up a fight. Now watch the Baltimore Ravens. They'll roll coverage over the top of Sammy Watkins. That's why the Bills are finding it tough to get Watkins down the field against one-on-one coverage.
And now the Bills elect to take their 2nd timeout. So they're down to 1 here in a 1-score game with still 12 and change remaining. Obviously feel like this is a big enough spot where they need some extra seconds to talk strategy. Coming up Saturday, it's the best game from the best conference with the SEC on CBS. Calvin Ridley and the Crimson Tide taking on Chad Kelly and the Rebels of Ole Miss. The fun begins with college football today. Solomon, what do you do here if you're Greg Roman?
Well, first of all, they must have saw something they liked or didn't like. That's why they used the timeout. I think you've got to be able to screen. I don't want to use the word pick, but screen Sammy Watkins open beyond the first down marker and allow him to create yards after the catch.
Bills 3 of 11 on 3rd down this afternoon. Taylor again under pressure. Escapes, trying to buy himself some time. Needed the 45 for the first down. He picks up only 4. And it will be 4th down.
Now take a look. All the receivers over to the left side of Tyrod Taylor, but he's flushed out to his right. And so even though he's bought some time, he can't get the ball clear back to the other side of the field. Good coverage on the back end and pressure on Taylor by the Baltimore defense.
Late flag was thrown right at the end of the play.
Illegal formation. An ineligible player was not covered on the end of the line. That 5-yard penalty is declined. It brings up 4th down.
You see Taylor telling the official, we don't have a 78 on the field. So apparently some confusion. Buffalo will have to punt, and to make matters worse, again, they had to use their second timeout.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because there was no 78. I do know to the left side of the formation, they had the end man on the line of scrimmage it was the receiver, Sammy Watkins. So the end man has to be on the line of scrimmage for it to be a legal formation.
Colton Schmidt, busy day, booting it from his own 30. And Hester will watch this sail out of bounds. They will mark it just inside the 20. 10-7 Ravens. 40 yards in the punt from Schmidt.
We're back at M&T Bank Stadium. Take a look at Jordan Mills. That's number 79 at the bottom of the screen. He has to be covered by the tight end, Charles Clay. That's why they were penalized for an illegal formation.
So the Ravens take over. This is 1st and 10. Flacco again feeling the pressure. Unable to locate Steve Smith. Roby Coleman, who's been busy in that defensive backfield for the Bills, was there on the coverage.
Good throw by Flacco under duress. Delivered that pass to Steve Smith Sr., and Steve's just got to haul it in.
Flacco in the second half today, only 25 yards passing. Here he is from the gun on 2nd and 10. Off balance throw over the middle. This is Chris Moore, the rookie. Brought down from the back by Darby. First down on the catch and run as they pick up 13 yards.
Everyone was talking about Chris Moore, the rookie receiver, number 10. He's got speed. He's got excellent pair of hands. Had a tremendous training camp making plays like this. He's the 10th different receiver to catch a pass from Joe Flacco today.
John Harbaugh told us don't sleep on this kid. The 4th round pick out of Cincinnati. With by far his biggest contribution so far in his NFL debut. That's Forsett. And we remind you that coming up is the Subway postgame show. We'll send you to New York. JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cowher standing by with all the latest scores and highlights. Busy opening Sunday in this 2016 season. The Subway postgame show coming up next. Spiro Vitas, Solomon Wilcots, Dana Jacobson, our entire CBS crew. This is 2nd and 6. Mike Wallace, a big 66-yard touchdown reception in the first half. Tackled by Darby, 9 yards and another first down.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills put a lot of pressure on their quarterbacks to play man-to-man coverage in space. And you can see Darby didn't take the best angle, was able to secure this tackle. But whenever the Bills want to come after Joe Flacco, that means the cornerbacks have to hold up in man-to-man coverage.
Wallace on his 4th team in the last 4 years, 8th season in the league. Talked about how similar the structure is here to what he had, Solomon, in Pittsburgh with the Steelers, where he spent the first 4 years of his career. And so what a target he could turn out to be for this offense.
Yeah, he talks about structure in terms of consistency with the general manager, Ozzie Newsome, consistency with the head coach, John Harbaugh, and now consistency within the same system as they come back with the same offensive coordinator for the 2nd year in a row for quite some time.
That being Mark Trestman. Here's his Flacco, 2nd and 8. Off the seam, and he completes. Dennis Pitta with a first down catch. 27 yards from Flacco.
What a throw by Flacco. And you to watch, here's Pitta right here. He's got to come into that soft area, but watch him adjust to this ball. He's covered well by Zach Brown, the linebacker, and Flacco trusted him by throwing it behind him.
Forsett brought down minimal pickup. Well, we know Pitta tried to make that, I beg your pardon, that was Terrence West. Pitta tried to make that comeback last season, practiced with the team for about 3 weeks, but turned out to not be activated. And there's obviously a need for him now with that loss of Benjamin Watson.
Well, that was a great play. That's just really great chemistry between the quarterback and the intended receiver, Dennis Pitta. His adjustment on that ball is what made the play successful.
2nd and 8. Just outside the 20. Play action from Flacco. Slinging it far side end zone, intended for Wallace. And it falls incomplete. Coverage on the play by Darby.
I've seen Joe now throw a few of these passes here in the second half flat-footed. He normally is up on his toes with a good bounce, Remember, he had that knee injury, and most of the offseason, as we take a look at Mark Trestman, the offense coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, it was about working on the mechanics of Joe Flacco. Now, the pass he completed to Pittle over the middle, he was also flat-footed on that one and threw it very well. The problem is when you're flat-footed as a quarterback, the accuracy is not going to be consistent.
Flacco on 3rd and 8. Pocket collapses. Flacco hit on the release, and that kind of squirted out of his hand and falls incomplete. That time it was Leger Douzable spearheading the pressure, and Rex's defense able to get off the field with Baltimore's drive stalling and the field goal unit onto the field.
What I've noticed is Joe Flacco is very reluctant to get out of the pocket and try to create anything with his legs. He's coming off that rehabbed knee where he had season-ending knee surgery 1 year ago. He's content to just hang in the pocket and try to allow his receivers to get open. And now that takes a lot of courage, but the old Joe Flacco would use his mobility.
Well, maybe still doesn't trust it yet. Certainly understandable. 45-yard field goal by Justin Tucker is good as the Ravens extend their lead to 6 on CBS. And now flag is thrown towards the end of the play. Second time we've had one of these on a long kick. So 7:38 to play. We expected this one to be tight, and it has certainly been that. Our referee today is Brad Allen. See Harbaugh getting an explanation. Harbaugh didn't seem to like what he heard.
During the kick, it was unsportsmanlike conduct, number 94 of the receiving team for leverage. That penalty is administered half the distance to the goal, automatic, first down.
What does that mean? You can't push another player who's at the line of scrimmage. There we see 94 there. I guess they're saying he's jumped on top of Lewis to try to leverage himself up to block the kick.
Was Jarrell Worthy the man penalized, and that is the 4th special teams penalty against Buffalo. Just incredible. One of the major storylines that hampered this team last season.
And that's the equivalent of maybe jumping on one of the offensive linemen as they're in their stance to try to propel yourself up in the air to block the kick. It was one of the points of emphasis.
That's right.
By the officials this offseason. Many of the teams were taught and told that it was illegal. Have to know better in that situation.
Now the players see those officiating videos, the points of emphasis made very clear. They just have to know better. And a critical penalty here, and a rather lengthy delay as the officials try to sort through it all.
It's a critical mistake because you give the Ravens a new set of down. This is essentially like a turnover. It's like a turnover. When you have penalties, you provide second chance opportunities for the Baltimore Ravens, but you can see, look, 4 first downs as a result of penalties by Buffalo. Maybe they're trying to figure out.
Any idea what they're?
I think they're trying to figure out where they're going to
Ball
put the
be
ball.
placed at the 13-yard line. Automatic first down. We're going on the snap.
They figured it out.
So fresh set of downs for the Ravens. They take the 3 points off the board, 10-7. And just a crusher of a penalty against Buffalo. And Smith in motion on 1st and 10. Flacco underneath. Here's Smith spinning away from the initial tackler, crosses the 15, close to the 13-yard line. And now those valuable ticks coming off the clock for Buffalo.
Yeah, and if you're Buffalo, you say, wow, we've already burned 2 timeouts on 3rd down plays. So you've got to come away with a stop here. More importantly, you may have to try to get yourself a turnover. You cannot allow the Ravens to turn this possession into a touchdown.
Buffalo had to burn a timeout early on in the third quarter on a 3rd and 16 play. Used one midway of this quarter at around the 12-minute mark, and now down to just one precious timeout as we move inside of 6 minutes. That was Terrence West on a minimal pickup to set up 3rd down.
And just to go back to your point, Spiro, both timeouts were used on 3rd down plays. And it was really just to try to figure out what was going on. That's what happens sometimes, and we talked about it at the top. Week 1 reveals all in terms of your process, in terms of your communication, and they had to burn timeouts on 3rd down plays because of poor communication.
Can they get off the field here? 3rd and 7. Flacco wrapped up, sacked.
You can see it there. Flacco very reluctant to run. Doozable, Alexander hemmed him in, and right now Rex Ryan said let's go after him because he knows Joe Flacco. He coached here for 10 seasons in Baltimore. Flacco was once a very mobile quarterback, and coming off that season-ending knee injury, you can see he's very reluctant. He's just going to eat it, try to preserve their opportunity to kick a field goal.
Now Lorenzo Alexander, the 10th-year man out of Cal, surprise starter. Manny Lawson was expected to be one of their starters at linebacker. Surprise cut about a week ago, and that set the stage for Alexander. 37-yard field goal makes it a 6-point Ravens lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the all-new Chrysler Pacifica, imported from Detroit, and by Subway Restaurants.
13-7, Ravens in front with under 6 minutes to play. Opening Sunday of this new NFL season. Joe Flacco's back. That doesn't mean he's all the way back. Doesn't seem to have the mobility that we've seen from him. That devastating knee injury that he sustained last November. He's able to tack on 3 points with that Tucker field goal. As O'Leary runs it out of bounds, a return of 12. Your weekend starts here Thursday. The Jets getting right back to work to take on these Buffalo Bills in Orchard Park. Rex Ryan against his other former team. Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. So Salman, here we go. Buffalo, that vaunted running game last year. Today, different story, just 64 rushing yards. So without that ground support, now you're asking Tyrod Taylor to march your offense down the field in a very tough spot.
They don't even have 100 yards throwing the football so far today.
Taylor play action on 1st and 10, slinging it up the seam, and it is incomplete. Boy, Watkins had it, couldn't squeeze it.
Looked like Jimmy Smith came and was able to get that ball out of the hands of Watkins before he could haul it in. Excellent play defensively. Good throw right there. You can see him rip and raking that ball away from the hands of Sammy Watkins before he can pull it into his body. Just good defense. But right now, if I'm Greg Roman, if I'm the Buffalo Bills, when we talked about Flacco's inability to make things happen with his legs, well, Tyrod Taylor's known for it. You have to be able to integrate his dual threat abilities into your game plan. Allow him to start making more plays with his legs to break down the defense.
Flags whistle, the play dead. This will be the delay of game.
Delay of game. Offense.
Yeah.
5-yard penalty. Second down.
Rex had to answer a lot of questions last year, but just how undisciplined this team was with all the penalties. And
I'm just
a lot of the same so far.
Yeah, I'm just going to go like that was one of those deals where they didn't want to burn the timeout, but we saw them burn those timeouts in other situations. Greg Roman trying to get the play in to Tyrod Taylor. They're here on the road. First game of the season. This is what we talked about. That first game, week 1, reveals all in terms of the areas you need to work on.
2nd and 15. Taylor has time and completes. That's Woods, far side of the field. And the clock stops. 5:22 to play. They pick up 9.
You know, Woods gives them an excellent option outside of Sammy Watkins, outside of Charles Clay. He can start making those plays with regularity. I think the offense goes to the next level because he's going to draw single coverage away from Watkins, away from Clay. He's got to be able to win in those situations.
Two down territory or too early?
I think it is too early. But you've got to be able to get it close. Say if you get 4th and 1, then maybe we could talk about going for it.
3rd and 6. Taylor, flag thrown. Taylor dragged down from the back. Terrell Suggs among the defenders getting to Taylor. Also Zachary Orr. And what is the call here?
Holding. Offense, number 70. On penalties, decline. 4th down.
That's Eric Wood, their Pro Bowl center.
Oh, this Ravens defense, Dean Pease, the coordinator, he's got them dialed up. Take a look. That's Zach Orr getting initial penetration. Suggs coming in, then Timmy Jernigan. And they're swarming. This is Ravens defense like what we've known it to be. They've got their stars back, and they've got their swagger back as well.
What a moment for Suggs coming back from that second devastating Achilles injury nearly a year ago to the day. Talked about the extra emotions going up against Rex Ryan, who he says was like a father figure to him here. He says Hester's going to play it on a bounce, just out past his own 40. Hester going backwards. So that decision backfires. Hester loses 8. Nice coverage by Corey Graham on the tackle in a 6-point game. Week 1 continues later today on Fox, and tonight Sunday Night Football on NBC. Double dip tomorrow on ESPN. First Pittsburgh and Washington, and Rams Niners in the nightcap at 10:20 Eastern time. So much pressure on Rex Ryan and his staff. Got a short week coming up. Home for the Jets on Thursday, and that puts even more importance on this one. Tyrod Taylor, a helpless bystander at the moment. His defense needing to get off the field. West wrapped up by Lorenzo Alexander, who converged on a sack on the last defensive possession.
You know, Mark Trestman, Harbaugh, they want to be able to run the football, and they want to do it with 2 tight end formations. Crockett Gilmore, Dennis Pitta. Unfortunately, they're not the best blockers at the tight end position, so they're not able to get off the ball. That time they were knocked back in the run game.
You saw the close games that the Ravens were involved in last year, even in a year in which they lost 11 games. They're very competitive. This is Mike Wallace on the end around, very close to a first down.
That's one way to run it. Wallace using that speed to get to the edge of the defense, and they got him going one way and reverse the field with Wallace coming back the other way.
Salmon, if you're Rex Ryan, when do you start thinking about using that last time out?
I think just prior to getting to the 2-minute mark, but first you got to get a stop, and then certainly once you get inside of 2 minutes. See, they're getting ready to maybe try to use one here if they get a significant stop.
Now it looks like the Ravens will burn a timeout.
Help them out,
Timeout.
Some confusion perhaps with the play call. Well, the clock stops. 3:09 to play. 4th quarter. And a critical season opening game between the Bills and the Ravens coming up. Subway postgame show from New York. JB and the fellas standing by. Latest NFL scores and highlights on the Subway postgame show coming up next.
Baltimore Ravens use that timeout. If you take a look at some of our fantasy leaders today, they're not trying to help out the Buffalo Bills, but before they shoot themselves in the foot, you're better off calling the timeout. Make sure you avoid any miscues.
1st and 10 after the timeout. Ravens keep it on the ground. This is West across the 45, close to the 47-yard line. Beg your pardon, that was West. It's Towson product. Corbin Bryant making the start for the suspended Marcel Darius on the tackle.
This is unfortunate because you're dealing with one timeout. Like to believe if they still had maybe a couple more, they would have used one after that tackle to shut down the clock.
2nd and 9. Flacco, little pitch. Here's Forsett. Breaks the initial tackle. Forsett close to the marker, and he is right there. No signal yet. 7 yards. What a play by Forsett.
This is a back-breaking play, Spiro. 1 minute, you look like you're dead in your own backfield, but he's able to break that tackle. Looks like he's close to the first down marker. That was just an excellent run. Yeah, I think he's going to be shy of the first down marker there.
Boy, it was Jerry Hughes who could have had Forsett in the backfield and missed. 3rd and 1. Monstrous play coming up next. During that timeout, John Harbaugh throwing out the red challenge flag. They will challenge the last spot. Harbaugh felt as though Forsett had enough for the first down. As we take another look. Needed to get just inside the Buffalo 44.
Well, they marked it down at the 45, and I think it's a good challenge because it clearly looked like he was beyond the 45-yard line. Look, he's beyond that, at least where the ball is. Looked like maybe his cheek hit the 45-yard line, but the ball is up on his upper torso, so it would certainly have to be marked beyond the 45-yard line. I don't know if it's enough for a first down, but certainly where they spotted the ball is just short of where Forsett actually was when he touched down.
Then it was Jerry Hughes who missed the initial tackle.
Look at that.
Zach Brown and Kyle Williams combining on the tackle. Again, keep in mind the call is the most important thing here. They say he was short, so now they need conclusive video evidence to overturn. And I'm just not sure they have it.
Or at least enough evidence to respot the ball. And I think we do have enough evidence to see that he's beyond the 45-yard line, okay, when he goes down. And they came back and spotted it at the 45. So I think we have enough evidence to show that they did spot the ball short of where Forsett really was.
Well, was it enough for the first down? That's what the officials determine here. We know that Brad Allen is in communication with the command center, the officiating command center in New York. Dean Blandino, the head of officials. So they are able to communicate right now and kind of walk their way and talk their way through this.
Looks like Rex Ryan is going to use his final timeout as well. Yeah, this is a big call. Game on the line. If they get a new set of downs, of course. First down, that would be huge.
Once again, our referee, Brad Allen, as we await the call.
During the timeout, there was a challenge by Baltimore. After reviewing the play, the ball will be placed at the 44.5-yard line. It will be 3rd down. Baltimore is charged their timeout and a challenge. 3rd down.
So we were right. They moved the ball beyond where they had marked it at the 45-yard line, but just shy of the first down marker. They said, okay, we get your point. We did mark it short of where we should have, but we're not giving you the first down on that one. Because I agree with you, Spiro. I think it was inconclusive if he had enough to pick up the first down from what we saw on the video.
And with that, it all comes down to this play. Baltimore gets one more first down. It's just about over. As Rex's defense, a team that heard all the criticism and unit last season, needs one stop right here.
Probably won't see a quarterback sneak, not with that knee to Flacco.
3rd and short. On the ground, they've got it. It's West.
He wasn't touched. Or was he? It's still enough for the first down, and that should be it.
They'll still have that one timeout in their back pocket.
Yeah, they'll get a chance
like
to
an
stop
injured player.
the clock. They'll get a chance to stop the clock. But only once. Let's see if he was touched down. Came through the trash. There he is. There he is. Okay, yeah, knee down right there. Then he hopped back up.
Injured Bill player, just hard to see from our vantage point. As you see the trainers crouched around him.
You know, when West went down there, we didn't hear a whistle. He went down, he got back up. The officials never blew the whistle.
That's Jarrell Worthy, a third-year defensive end out of Michigan State. Bills only dressed 5 defensive linemen today. Another Marcel Darius is suspended. Will not be eligible to return until early October. And a game that the Bills will play out in LA against the Rams.
When you think about the Bills, they're playing without their first-round pick in this year's draft on the defensive side of the ball. Their second-round pick in Reggie Ragland on the defensive side of the ball, without Marcel Darius, without Manny Lawson, who had been suspended and then released by the club. I mean, those are 4 potential really good defensive players not available to Rex Ryan on opening day.
Yeah, that first-round pick you mentioned, Shaq Lawson, still dealing with the shoulder injury, will not be eligible to return until after week 6 at the earliest. Well, hard to kind of turn your page when you don't have all of your guns. As the trainers will slowly help Worthy back onto his feet. So Buffalo did take a timeout as they are charged their final timeout. Worthy will very slowly walk to the sideline. So now Rex unable to stop the clock with 1:48 remaining, and the Ravens up by 6.
You know, Rex Ryan, we talked to him about it. He knew it was going to be a tough task coming in here to try to win on opening day at M&T Bank Stadium. And even though Baltimore had lost each of their last 3 season openers, they're still, since 2000, they're one of the best teams playing at home. They have the 2nd highest winning percentage in home games, only behind the New England Patriots since the 2000 season.
Well, Ravens team that won only 5 games last year, all those close losses that they suffered. Not only trying to get back on a winning track and ascend up the AFC, but really trying to refine their identity here after all the defensive struggles that they had under John Harbaugh last year. And this is a pretty good opening step. Wasn't pretty at times, with the Ravens 90 seconds away from a season opening win.
Well, they have more assets at the wide receiver position than they had 1 year ago. They're younger on the offensive line, starting 2 rookies on opening day. And, you know, Rex Ryan and the Buffalo Bills, they'll continue to improve. They will get better. It's tough opening up on the road at M&T Bank Stadium. He knew it was going to be a large task. Came close, but not good enough.
The Ravens held the Bills to 160 total yards of offense this afternoon. And if that's not a pretty good statement from your defense on opening day, I don't know what is.
Oh, you can't say enough about the job Joe Flacco did with the offense as well. Over 300 yards total offense against Rex and Rob Ryan's defense. That's doing something. And he was less than 100%, as we talked about, coming off that knee injury, but did more than enough to help his team come away with a win.
Ravens head to Cleveland next week, and a short work week for the Bills as they host the Jets on Thursday night, a game you can see on CBS and NFL Network. You see first opening weekend victory for Harbaugh's Ravens since 2012, which turned out to be a pretty good year here in Baltimore. So Tyrod Taylor's return to Baltimore ends in defeat, and those 2 old buddies showing some respect as they exchange game jerseys. The final 13-7 Baltimore. Coming up next, it's the Subway postgame show. Now for Solomon, Dana Jacobson, Spiro Dedes saying so long from Baltimore as the Ravens open their 2016 campaign with a victory. You've been watching the NFL on CBS. Now to JB in New York.